Sunday to Buckaroos. I know it's really early or really late, depending on your point of view. I was going to do a video when I first got home, and then I got sidetracked. And I decided I wasn't, wanted to eat some, relax. Um, I tend to get obsessive when I'm trying to figure something out. Sometimes it can be good, sometimes not. And usually the answer depends on you, really. What are your thoughts on this particular situation? The good news is I'm hoping I can't do any damage per se, but no, I had an interesting cocktail while I was on vacation last week. Um, and I'll be honest, it wasn't a cocktail that was in my wheelhouse at all in any direction, but I was intrigued by the idea. So since I've gotten home, in fact, I didn't have. I was missing one component, which was pink peppercorn. So my wife got them for me today. So since I've been home from work, I've been obsessed with finding the right combo. Now, the particular cocktail I had used gin, and I think that'll work. But I didn't have the gin that I needed to make the cocktail work the way I wanted it to. So I thought, well, let's just try different versions of. So I tried it using a different gin, which kind of worked, but it's not something that I can pull off for work, right? So I kept trying different things. I thought, well, let's forget about work. Let's see what tastes good. So I tried a few things that I really liked as well. But now I'm back. I'm back to work again. I'm not. I'm back to finding the right combo for work using components and products that I use at work. And I use the Tiaki products, which are local to me here in Springfield. So they used gin, but I had a little bit of this rum left, so I wanted to try it using the rum. And they used something different for the sweetener. But I had an idea. I wanted to use the Tiaki candied orange liqueur. I used the pink peppercorns as a garnish, but also a candied orange or a slightly torched candied orange, get a caramelized candied orange, if you will. Ugh. Gosh, that's nice. That's really nice. I hadn't thought about it with rum though. The candied orange with the rum really works nice. But so Tiaki does have a very particular gin that I like that I use for most of my cocktails at work. Now the place that I had it at used a barrel gin, and this is sort of that, but it's done in a different way. But I think because of the cocktail that I'm going for, I think it'll work. But I like the idea. I love the idea of the cocktail. So, like I said, I did several versions of. Well, I did three versions of before this one. Let me say that. Although I will say, for whatever reason, I didn't get my foam to hold up as well because the other versions, my foam held up beautifully. So either I didn't add enough or I didn't shake it properly. But the bottom line is, I love the flavor, so I do kind of like it with the rum. So I may continue, but I want to change it slightly. But I gotta find that I gotta the gin I use at work I don't have here at home, so I'm gonna have to pick up. Say this is what I got, and sound very confident about it until it comes to put the recipe together, and then well, I didn't actually try it; it was just an idea. I'm just one of those folks that gets really obsessive, right? So I have to. I basically have to ride it to the wheels fall off, right? And then I'll ride on rims. But I have to keep going, man. And that's kind of where I am in this journey at this moment. But I love the pink peppercorns because it adds a little bit of, I don't even know if heat's the right word in this case, that as just a little bit of something, right? You might say heat, but I don't know that heat is the right word because it's not like It's not even like black peppercorns. It's certainly not like using a spicy pepper. Pink peppercorns add the flavor in a much different way. And that was the only thing I didn't like about the cocktail I had out there because I loved the idea, but I felt that it was a little too sweet for one, too sweet for me. And that's another conversation. But I also felt like I didn't feel enough peppercorn presence. So I want to add the presence, cut down the sweetness, but I don't want anybody to feel that they're getting again too much heat, right? I want it to be that right sweet. That's why I was using the a Tiaki Da candied orange to get the sweetness. But I tried another cocktail where I eliminated the candy orange and because I made a honey. I made two. Well, I made a large batch. I made a large batch of a honey vanilla simple syrup. So I brought. So I took that, but I took half of it and added pink peppercorns to it. So I got a half a batch that's just honey vanilla. But then I got that other batch that is honey, vanilla, and pink peppercorns, adding that, kind of. So I've been tinkering because for me, I want to serve it in a coupe, but I'm also tinkering with the idea of serving it as an old fashioned. So I had the cocktail in a coupe, and it used the egg foam, which I really like. But if I serve it more like an old fashioned with the big cube, we're going to have to eliminate the egg foam. So I need to know if that's going to work too. And that's kind of the thing. That's where I'm at this moment in time is I have to try every version of that cocktail till I come up with the right version that I want to take to my bosses and say, okay, this is the one. I like this. This works, but this is the one. All of these would be great at home, but what can I sell? And that's kind of the issue too, is that I personally prefer a coupe cocktail. But at this moment in time, highball style and old fashioned style cocktails are selling better. So again, that's something else I'm trying to work out too. Is that I love a cocktail in a coupe. I think some cocktails have to be in a coupe. You need that elegance. Uh, but you are going to sell more highball style or old fashioned style with the big cube, and that's the other thing. So, and that I also understand that I'm very old. So I'm taking a cocktail that's really designed for 20 to 30 somethings and trying to figure out how I can put this cocktail together that 20 to 30 somethings might like. But I also wanted to put it together in such a way where folks my age might say, "Oh, Tom, you got something there." And see, therein lies my my dilemma is that I'm not sure that's possible, but that's the goal. That's my goal at this moment in time. Anyways, bear with me. I'll be right back. All right, I apologize. That took a little longer than I thought it might. I wanted to do something else, but I thought I'd just grab a beer real fast And when I ponder cocktail number two, yes, I do that. I am off tomorrow. So here's the thing. So my vacation ended, as vacations tend to do. So I went back to work on Monday. I worked Monday and Tuesday, but I got a break in the middle. I got the hump day off, so I'm off tomorrow, which is why I'm having a few drinks this evening. Because I don't always, but like I said, I tend to get obsessed. So I was trying to figure that out. And my wife was doing something, so she wasn't ready to go to bed yet either. So we'll just, see what I can figure out here. Let my mind ponder. Anyway, but I am off tomorrow, so I'm not worried about it too much. Um, but then I'll just Thursday and Friday I'll obsess again because I won't drink. I won't drink on Thursday. And I won't drink until I get home from work on Friday. I did have a nice vacation though. Let me talk about that for a minute. It was kind of one of those. So we had a big vacation originally planned, and I'm not going to mention what it is because it doesn't matter anymore. But then we just had a lot of things come up where we couldn't do it. And the thing of it is it was probably by May that I realized it wasn't going to happen. But it wasn't till almost July before my wife and I really had that conversation, and we, her being the voice of reason, said we're just not going to be able to do this. So, but I already had the rooms arranged, so I had to cancel everything, and I canceled in time to get the money back. But the point is, it was a little pressing, right? Because we really want to do this one thing, and so once we realized that it wasn't going to happen, that was a little bit depressing. But then she had the idea, well, we go to Little Rock. You've got a friend, you've got two friends out there that you really wanted to see for a long time. But we never planned a vacation out that way. It's only 4 hours away. We could just do a couple nights. So, okay, we ended up doing 3 nights out there, but yeah, that was the original thing. So we can do a couple nights out there. But it turned out that it happened by accident. To be honest with you, is that I started looking for an Airbnb room out in that direction, and I found one that I thought was close, but they don't. Airbnb doesn't give you that. They don't give you the address right away, but going by the description of it, I think this is close to where we want to be. I don't know, but once we got the room, we found out. Yeah, it was like where we were was right here. It was a half mile in this direction to one place I wanted to be, a half mile in that direction to that place I wanted to be. It was just situated perfectly. Now, the only thing that went wrong, well, nothing went wrong, but the only thing that I would like to do again, and would go back out that way, is that there were just 3 or 4 places I wasn't able to get to. Partly because we ran out of time, and partly because, well, that's how vacations go, right? You plan on hitting a few spots, and then other things come up, right? What was really nice though is that I got to see a couple of friends I hadn't seen in a while. One old friend, we only planned on meeting together for a beer, and we ended up hanging out all day together, right? Just going from brewery to brewery to brewery. So that area, there is a lot to see. So I hope to get back out there again. I'm trying to keep in mind that it is only 4 hours away. So even if I only have 2 days off, we could theoretically get down there and have a full 2 days and come back. So anyway, but like I was saying earlier, and I kind of cut myself off, is that, hey, you got sidetracked, huh? Is that it was kind of a combination of vacation, staycation, right? We didn't want to stay home the entire time, but we know we didn't have the budget to be gone the entire time. So we were only gone 3 days, then back into town here. But we only told our daughter and a couple of really close friends that we were back because we just wanted to still be on vacation, right? Didn't want anybody to get in contact with us. So yeah, I told a couple of really close friends, and then we told our daughter, of course, because she needed to know. But Well, because we did that, we were still able to just, once we got home, we could just relax, right? We did, and that's kind of how vacations go sometimes, is that you're gone this entire time, but you think you're going out there to relax or wherever you're going, but then you're moving the entire time, so you're doing some different things, but you don't really ever get to seriously relax. You get home and you got maybe a few hours, and you're back to work again, right? But we planned it this time where we were just, we had about 4 days with absolutely nothing to do. We could just take it easy and do whatever we wanted to, whether it be everything or nothing. It was up to us. That combined with the fact that the job I have at this particular moment in time is the least stressful job I've ever had in my entire life. So that was nice too. Even going back to work, even though I'm tired and I'm old and my bones hurt, it's not stressful because it's just a great job and I work for wonderful people and I love what I do. I love serving great craft beer and I love making cocktails. So it's just enjoyable. Everything about it. So anyways, I'm gonna be right back. Okay, one more time with filling. So again, like I was explaining earlier, once I have an idea, I feel the need to write it until the wheels fall off. So I've been doing a various version of this cocktail I had on vacation, and it had an egg foam on it. So every version I've done had that. So I'm gonna eliminate that for this particular version because I'm taking the cocktail, I'm taking the idea of the cocktail, but I'm taking it in a completely different direction. Um, so I've had an idea to do. So I have amaretto and I have toasted almond bitters and pink peppercorns. I don't know if you're following where I'm going with this, but I'm going to be right back with the last ingredient here. So I've done about every version. I've done about every version of this cocktail, but turn it into a true whiskey cocktail. I don't want to turn it into an old fashioned per se or a Manhattan, but I wanted to have that idea, right? So it's probably closer to an old fashioned, even though I'm going to serve it straight up more like an old fat or more like a Manhattan. So I'm still using the pink peppercorns. I'm going to keep the garnish on there, even though it doesn't necessarily seem to fit at the moment. Because I didn't use the candied orange liqueur. Oh my god, that's delicious. But I did use my honey peppercorn simple syrup. Wonder why someday, somewhere. Excuse me while I spill all over myself. Yeah, that was the only thing I did different here. I decided I didn't want to put the egg foam on this, but I wanted the flavors, but I didn't want to overcomplicate it, right? I love the idea of using the candied orange for the sweetener, but I also had to use the honey peppercorn to really get that flavor as well. So here I eliminated the candied orange liqueur. The only sweetener is coming from the only sweetener is coming from my honey peppercorn simple syrup, but that's also providing me a little of that peppercorn flavor. There we go. We get it all in there before. Set this down for just a second. And show you the whiskey that I use. So yeah, the only thing I hadn't done with this is I've used rum, I've used a couple different gins, I've used vodka, I've used a lot of things, but I didn't try to do this as a true whiskey cocktail. So I wanted to use this one. This is the Hard Truth French Oak Harvest Rye Sweet Mash Straight Rye finish in toasted French oak, which gives you more vanilla notes. This particular rye, in conjunction, in conjunction, in cahoots, or in cahoots with the Mellencamp Whiskey Company, if that name sounds familiar to you, is at 104. So let me show you that whiskey. I hadn't used it for a while, but I really like this whiskey. But I thought again, adding that extra that rye imparts a lot of vanilla notes, and I'm using a honey, vanilla, peppercorn simple syrup. You pull that orange out of there because it just doesn't need to be there anymore. I got to be honest. For me, I love it, but I know I'm kind of different. I understand I'm different. Most would want this particular drink served over that big square cube. So, but that takes me to another dilemma, right? And part of me wants to serve this very elegant with using a very particular gin and a coupe, but I also want to do almost the same thing, serving it like an old fashioned, just like this, using a very particular rye I can get here in town with the big square cube, but add that vanilla, that again the honey vanilla peppercorn syrup, making it kind of a sweet hot old fashioned, if you will. Hmm. Gosh, that's good. I don't care who you are, that's tasty. So I mentioned the whiskey, I mentioned the simple syrup, but there are a couple ingredients I didn't mention that are in here, which leads me to the name I want to use, but I probably can't use at work. Is I use a little bit of amaretto in here and then toasted almond bitters, getting into that old fashioned, right? Which leads me to like a couple opportunities, right? I've got sweet hot nuts. I got spicy these nuts. I mean, there's a couple directions I can go, but I can't think of anything that would be menu friendly. I like spicy D's nuts. That one just came to me. Yeah. Or these spicy nuts. I don't know. Something like that. But yes, hot spicy nuts. Sweet hot nuts. I kind of like that one too. Anyways, we'll work on it. I'm gonna toss a few things in the hopper. We'll see what happens. Thing is, I can only bring I can't bring 100 different things to the party right now. To my bosses, I got to narrow it down. So that's kind of where I'm at now. Is that I like the old fashioned version of this, but I think the better seller is going to be I don't know, because I like the elegant coupe version, but I also know I don't know. It just depends on how it's going to get marketed, right? I like a coupe cocktail because I don't like ice in my drink, but I also know a large portion of men don't like a coupe cocktail. They want the glass to hold on to. But my issue with the glass to hold on to is that it has an ice cube in it, which is watering down your drink every second. Anyway, see, I don't find a coupe cocktail to be effeminate, but a lot of men do. But then they'll drink a cocktail with a big ice cube in it that's watering their cocktail down and not think anything about it. So I worry more about that, right? Yeah, but you're worried about the glass, but you're drinking something that's getting watered down. That seems a little more, candy ass to me than a glass. Merce, I have to keep a lot of these, opinions to myself so I don't alienate people. I've been told I do that. Ah, I like this though. I've had the idea of this cocktail as a gin drink, which I think is probably the best way to go. With the egg foam in the coupe because it makes a beautiful cocktail. But I would like to take a different run at it, right, and use it this way. I want almost spin it as same simple syrup to cocktails, right? Because if I were to serve this cocktail old fashioned style, think about this for a second. So I right at work I've got this beautiful gin, or not gin, beautiful rye from Tiyakida, which is a sherry barrel finished rye. So you take that rye, I add 2 ounces of the rye and a half ounce of my peppercorn honey simple syrup, half ounce of amaretto, a couple dashes of my toasted almond bitters, and I think that's a drink that a lot of men will pick up on, especially going to the fall. But I don't want to abandon the other one because I think that's a great drink too. And sometimes I try to sell things as killing two birds with one stone. I got this one simple syrup, but I can do 100 cocktails with it. Right? I can do this, but if you only allow me to do this, you're kind of hamstringing me. I'm always thinking out loud. Anyway, anyways, I digress. I love that. I also have one of my coworkers is about 30 years plus my junior. So if I had never met this person, I would have never thought about a cocktail with pink peppercorns. It's only because I know them that I'm thinking about it. So I at some point I'm going to have to acknowledge that they're probably the reason that I think this is a great idea. I always I make jokes about our menus. If you see anything you like on the menu, anything that's fancy, is their cocktail. Everything that has three ingredients is mine. Yeah, 'cause that's kind of my that's my line in the sand. Everything that looks like an old fashioned, a Manhattan, a martini, Well, that's me. Anything that has any real personality, well, that's her because that's. I'm that three ingredient cocktail guy, whether it has whiskey in it. And that's kind of where I'm at with this other one is I like both versions of, and I don't want to present too much, but I really think both, especially going into the fall, I really like this as an old fashioned. And when I try to sell it, I will sell it with the ice cube, but I just like a coupe. I just want a cold one. but yeah, using that right gin. Biscuits and gravy. Anyways, I digress. I didn't realize I've been talking for so long. I am Tom the Whiskey Whisperer, Whiskey Evangelist. For love of whiskey drinking, for wisdom all around good guys. Luncheon.